Welcome to our deep dive into the history of Tanzanian leadership since liberation. Today we'll explore the challenges and achievements of each president who has shaped the nation. Now, I know what you're thinking. History? On YouTube? That sounds educational, and you're right, it is educational. But don't worry, we're doing it the fun way. Think of this as political edutainment. Because let's be honest, sometimes real life is more dramatic, more surprising, and funnier than anything you'd see in a movie. And trust me, the story of Tanzania's presidents has it all. From revolutionary heroes to economic reformers, from trailblazing women to, well, let's just say, some leaders who were more complicated. We're talking triumphs, tragedies, and maybe even a few awkward handshakes along the way. So, buckle up because we're about to take a wild ride through history. Get ready to meet the presidents of Tanzania. First up we have Julius Nyerere, aka Mwalimu, meaning teacher in Swahili. And let me tell you, this guy was more than just a teacher. He was the headmaster, the principal, and the superintendent all rolled into one. We're talking about the founding father of modern Tanzania. Nyerere led Tanzania to independence in 1961, which was like winning the biggest, baddest game of colonizer tag. He then went on to become the country's first president. Think about that for a second. First president. Talk about pressure. It's like being the first person to try a new flavor of ice cream. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. Nyerere wasn't just about politics, though. He genuinely wanted to improve the lives of everyday Tanzanians. He championed education and healthcare because, you know, a healthy and educated population is kind of important for a country to function. Who knew, right? But then came Ujamaa. Now, Ujamaa was Nyerere's big idea to create a socialist utopia in Tanzania. It was all about collectivization, self-reliance, and working together for the common good. Sounds great in theory, right? Like a really catchy Kumbaya song. In reality, well, let's just say it was a bit more complicated. You see, Ujamaa faced some, shall we say, challenges. Imagine trying to get everyone in your neighborhood to agree on what to order for takeout. Now multiply that by like 1 million. Yeah, it was tough. Production struggled, people weren't thrilled about giving up their land, and the economy took a hit. But hey, you have to give Nyerere credit for trying something bold, for trying to forge his own path. He was a visionary leader, a true believer in Pan-Africanism. And even when things didn't go to plan, his heart was always in the right place. After Nyerere stepped down, Hassan Mwinyi took the reins. Now Mwinyi was a different kind of leader. He was more of a pragmatist, a let's get real kind of guy. He saw that the Ujamaa thing wasn't exactly working out as planned. It was like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. It just wasn't meant to be. So, Mwinyi decided to switch gears. He introduced economic reforms, loosened things up a bit, and embraced the free market. It was like Tanzania's version of let's make a deal, except instead of trading curtain number 1 for a new car, they were trading socialist policies for a chance at economic growth. Mwinyi also oversaw the transition to a multi-party system. Now this was a big deal. Before, it was basically a one-party show. But Mwinyi realized that for democracy to thrive, you need to have a little competition. It's like a good game of soccer. It's just not as exciting if only one team is allowed to score. But with more freedom came more voices, and not all of them were singing in harmony. Managing political dissent became one of Mwinyi's biggest challenges. Imagine trying to herd a bunch of cats who all have different opinions on the best way to catch a mouse. Yeah, not easy. Despite the challenges, Mwinyi set the stage for a more democratic Tanzania. He showed that you can be a strong leader while also listening to different points of view. It's a delicate balance, kind of like trying to walk a tightrope while juggling flaming torches. Not everyone can pull it off. Next up, we have Benjamin Mkapa, a man who knew how to get things done. If Tanzanian presidents were superheroes, Mkapa would be the one with the tool belt and the hard hat. He was all about building, developing, and modernizing. Under his leadership, Tanzania saw significant economic reforms. We're talking roads, bridges, schools, hospitals, the works. It was like a nationwide makeover, but instead of new furniture, they were getting essential infrastructure. Mkapa understood that for Tanzania to compete in the global economy, it needed a solid foundation, and he was determined to lay those bricks, literally. He also made strides in reducing poverty, which, you know, is always a good look for a president. But it wasn't all sunshine and roses during Mkapa's presidency. Corruption reared its ugly head, casting a shadow over some of his achievements. It's like building a beautiful house and then realizing termites have been munching away at the foundation. Not ideal. And then there were the challenges of governance. Trying to keep a country running smoothly is like trying to conduct an orchestra where everyone wants to play a different instrument at the same time. Despite these challenges, Mkpa's presidency was a time of significant progress for Tanzania. He proved that with hard work and a focus on development, even a country facing major obstacles can rise to the challenge. Now let's talk about Jakaya Kikwete, Tanzania's smooth operator. This guy was known for his diplomacy, his charm, and his ability to make friends wherever he went. If Tanzanian presidents were characters in a buddy comedy, Kikwete would be the one cracking jokes and charming the ladies. He continued the trend of infrastructure development because, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Roads, bridges, airports. Kikwete was all about connecting Tanzania to the world. He also made education and healthcare key priorities because, as we've already established, a healthy and educated population is kind of important. It's like the old saying goes, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll probably still need healthcare at some point, but you get the idea. But even the most charming leaders face challenges. Managing public expectations is like trying to please everyone at a party where some people want karaoke, some want a dance floor, and some just want to sit in the corner and judge everyone else's outfits. And then there were the health crises because, well, life happens. From HIV/AIDS to outbreaks of preventable diseases, Kikwete had to deal with some serious curveballs. It's like being a chef who's got a full restaurant expecting a 5-star meal, and suddenly the oven explodes and the health inspector shows up. Not exactly a recipe for success. But through it all, Kikwete maintained his cool, his charisma, and his commitment to Tanzania's progress. He showed that sometimes, a little diplomacy can go a long way. Now, hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to enter the era of John Magufuli, a man who earned the nickname the Bulldozer. And let me tell you, that nickname was not given lightly. Magufuli came in like a wrecking ball, ready to demolish corruption and inefficiency. He was like the Marie Kondo of Tanzanian politics, except instead of asking if things sparked joy, he was asking if they served a purpose. And if they didn't, well, let's just say there was a lot of metaphorical decluttering going on. He cracked down on corruption with a vengeance, firing officials left and right. It was like watching a political version of The Apprentice, except instead of you're fired, it was you're under investigation. And the infrastructure projects? Oh boy, did he love those infrastructure projects. Roads, railways, bridges, you name it, Magufuli was building it. He was like the Bob the Builder of East Africa, but with a much more intense stare. But Magufuli's bulldozer approach also had its downsides. His critics accused him of authoritarianism, of silencing dissent, and of bulldozing over human rights in his quest for efficiency. It's like that old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. Unless you're John Magufuli, in which case you might just try to build a dam around the horse and flood the entire area. And then there was his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, which, shall we say, was unconventional. Let's just say that Magufuli wasn't exactly a fan of lockdowns or face masks. He was more of a let's fight this virus with prayer and steam inhalation kind of guy. Magufuli's presidency was a time of great change and controversy. He was a man who divided opinions, but one thing's for sure, he definitely left his mark on Tanzania. And finally, we come to Samia Suluhu Hassan, the woman who made history by becoming Tanzania's first female president. Talk about shattering glass ceilings, more like shattering glass mountains. She stepped into some seriously big shoes, and she did it with grace, determination, and a killer smile. Hassan has been all about unity and dialogue. After the Magufuli years, Tanzania was a bit like a family that had just had a huge argument. Everyone was a little on edge, a little suspicious of each other. But Hassan came in like the cool aunt who everyone loves and said, okay kids, let's just take a deep breath and try to remember that we're all on the same team here. She's also been focusing on economic recovery because, let's face it, the world's been through a lot lately, and Tanzania's economy is still feeling the effects. It's like trying to bake a cake after a hurricane. You might have all the ingredients, but the oven's still a little wonky. But Hassan faces her own set of challenges. The political opposition is still there, of course, because what's a good democracy without a little bit of back and forth? It's like a game of chess. You need both black and white pieces for it to be interesting. And then there are the expectations that come with being the first female president. Everyone's watching her every move, waiting to see how she'll lead, what she'll change, and how she'll navigate the complexities of Tanzanian politics. It's like being the lead singer in a band. Everyone's got an opinion on your performance, but you've just got to tune out the noise and focus on the music. Only time will tell what Hassan's legacy will be, but one thing's for sure, she's already made history and Thank you for joining us on this journey through Tanzania's presidential history. We've seen the highs, the lows, the triumphs, and the challenges that have shaped this incredible nation. From the revolutionary spirit of Nyerere to the trailblazing leadership of Hassan, Tanzania's presidents have each left their own unique mark on the country. They've faced economic struggles, political upheavals, and global pandemics, yet through it all, Tanzania has persevered, always striving for a brighter future. Stay tuned for more insightful content on the leaders who shape our world.